Hello everyone, welcome to Mitchmatics. In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to add and subtract rational numbers using mixed fractions. So in this one we're only going to be going over one problem, and this one's going to be addition, and then I'm going to do another tutorial on subtraction and give you a problem there. So again, rational numbers, we can have signs on them, and in this case we're worrying about mixed fractions. So a mixed fraction just has two components, a whole number and a fractional component. So there's a few things you have to keep in mind when you're doing this. When you are adding these rational numbers, you need to remember your integer rules, because the ones that have signs are going to mean you have to follow the rules of integers. When you're adding and subtracting fractions, you need to have a common denominator, meaning the bottom numbers in your fractions need to have the same number, because you have to have the same amount of parts when you're adding fractions or subtracting them. And then finally, turning your fractions into improper fractions. So that makes it a lot easier when you're doing them. So we don't want to deal with mixed numbers. And so we're going to follow the steps on the right-hand side, and we're going to solve this problem right here, which is negative 3/14 plus 4/1/3. So steps. Turn fractions into improper and proper fractions first. So we're going to turn both of these fractional, or these mixed fractions, into improper fractions first on the side. So I'm going to do that in blue. We're going to do negative 3/14. Now, you can ignore the sign when you're doing this part. You don't need to worry about the sign in this case. You're going to have to keep it, though, at the end, but it doesn't matter, and it doesn't affect the math at this point. So when we're turning this into a mixed fraction, I have to take the whole number part and the denominator and multiply them. So I'm going to do 3 times 4, which will be 12, and then I'm going to add that to the top number, which will be 12 plus 1, which will then be 13. You add the numerator to this number that you just got. Now, this number is the top of my improper fraction, 13. And now, all I need to do is, remember back to my rules, I'm just going to rewrite the 4. 4 underneath as my denominator. And now I have my improper fraction. And now, because that was a negative fraction, this has to also be a negative fraction, okay? So it's a negative 13/4. Now, let's do the same thing for 4/1/3. Remember, this is an addition sign. This is not the sign of the number. So you notice there is no sign, so this is technically a positive 4/1/3. So you don't have to worry about that. So let's do that for the second one. So we're going to do 4/1/3, and we're going to convert it too. We're going to do 4 times 3. That dot just means multiplication. 4 times 3 is 12. And then you're going to take that 12 and you're going to add the top or the numerator to it. It's a 1. So I'm going to do 12 plus 1, and that's 13. And so when I turn this into an improper fraction, I am going to have 13/3 because I have to rewrite the denominator again. So now I have my two new numbers. I have improper fraction negative 13/4 and my other improper fraction 13/3. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rewrite this problem with the positive sign down here, but replacing the fractions with these new pieces. So negative 13/4 will go here, plus 13/3. And now, that was my first step. Turn fractions into improper proper fractions. So you can't turn them into proper fractions technically, but you can turn them into improper fractions like we just did. So now, we are going to use this, and now we're going to turn both of these fractions into like denominator fractions. So if you look right here, there's 4 and 3 at the denominator. I need to turn both of those into the same number. I'm going to use my multiplication chart to help me do that. So let's do the first one. So I'm going to put it here on the side right here. Negative 13/4. And now I'm going to use my, no. I'm going to do my multiplication chart. So I'm going to do my multiplication chart. So let's do 3s. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Okay. Let's do 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Okay. Well, now you're just looking for the lowest number that they both have in common. They both have 12 in common. So I'm going to get both of these to 12. So now I just need to multiply negative 13/4 by a whole number or a ratio fraction. And then the same with 13/3. So the way I can tell how I do that is, let's start with the first one, negative 13/4. I'm just going to do it right here on the side. I'm going to multiply that by something to make 4 12. So if you look at our times tables 4, we had to multiply it by 1, 2, 3 times. So I'm going to multiply this by 3/3. And so, again, ignore the sign. 13 times 3, do signs separately. 13 times 3 is 39. And then 4 times 3 is 12. And so now you do your signs. Negative times a positive, there's no sign here, so it has to be positive. Negative times a positive is always negative. So The way you can remember that, different signs are always negative. So we're going to replace that right here, negative 39 over 12. And we're going to bring down that positive sign again. And now we're going to change 13 over 3 into a new fraction with a common denominator. So 13 over 3, I'm just doing it right here. I'm going to separate it. So we look here again. I'm doing my 3s. I need to get to 12. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to multiply it by 4 to be able to turn it into a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply by 4 over 4. Again, let's multiply the top two numbers and the bottom two numbers. So 13 times 4 will be 52. And then 4 times 3 will be 12. So now I'm just going to replace it right here. Right here, my 13/3 now became 15 over 12. And now, I have done step 2. Get a common denominator before adding, subtracting. Now I can add them following my integer rules. And I can simplify finally. So on step 3, we're going to add these. So a way to think about this really simply is, I only add the top numbers. I don't add the denominator. So I'm going to make a giant fraction. I'm going to put 12 underneath because this stays the same. I'm not adding them. And then I'm going to rewrite everything on top. Negative 39 plus 52. And now I just use the rules on my integers on the top part and then rewrite it again. Negative 39 plus 52. These have different signs and I'm adding them. So I have to think, what do my integer rules tell me? When I have two different signs when I'm adding, I'm basically subtracting. So I'm basically on the side, I'm subtracting 52 minus 39. So 52 minus 39 will be 13. And then I do my sign. Now let's think. When I'm, again, adding opposite signs, the one that's the higher numerical value will determine the sign. Look right here. This is technically a positive 52. So this has to be a positive 13, and I'm just going to rewrite it right here. 13 over 12. And I am done. I just solved my mixed number fraction. So there should be like equal signs on the side, but that's how you do it. That is the step process. And again, you can simplify. I can't simplify that. 13 and 12 are not even numbers. There's nothing I can divide out of both of them to simplify it. So we're done. So that's how you do a mixed fraction. Now, I'm going to show a more advanced one in a later tutorial. So a more advanced way. So please go ahead and use that as your method to solve mixed fraction rational number problems. And I hope this helped you out.